My name is Sean Petrie, and I'm a poet, and I often write poems on the spot on a typewriter. Usually that's with a group called Typewriter Rodeo. And this is a poem that I did in that situation, and this was at an event at this great bookstore here in Austin, independent bookstore called Book People, and they were hosting a book release party for the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child book. Some of you might remember they used to do these midnight release parties for a lot of the Harry Potter books, and people would dress up and couldn't wait to get their book. That's what this was. So we actually, there were four of us typing poems, and we were each dressed up as one of the houses. I'm a Hufflepuff, and so I dressed up, or at least had a Hufflepuff t-shirt on, and there were so many people there. It was great. A lot of them all dressed up as wizards and witches and whatever. And so for this poem, we had a long line of people the whole night. It was great, and just such good energy. And for this one, this girl came up and she said, "Can you write me a poem about stars?" So this was the poem that came from that at this Harry Potter book release party. Stars. Step out. Look up. There, in the twinkling dark, a million tiny, shiny sparks, like someone, perhaps the greatest wizard of all, waved his or her wand across the inky black and whispered, "Maximus Lumos." And so I finished that poem and gave it to her, but actually, right as I typed those last two words, I realized, oh, I actually got it wrong. It's Lumos Maxima, I think, is the spell for, I wanted the one for like, it creates light or casts light, or just puts light at the end of your wand, right? So with a typewriter, I have a manual typewriter from 1928. You can't correct your mistakes on that. They are pounded in ink onto the paper. So I could have started over, I could have X'd it out, but I thought, no, I'm actually gonna keep that mistake, because maybe the spell for lighting up the whole sky with stars, maybe that spell is Maximus Lumos. Maybe I made up my own. That's one of the things I love about poetry, and in particular with using a typewriter to create poetry, is that you have to embrace your mistakes, which I think is a great thing to keep in mind and to practice when you're writing a poem, particularly a first draft. Like, your subconscious might take you, or inadvertently put you into this, what you think is a weird path. But I say, take that path, embrace that weird, see where it leads. Nobody else has probably ever gone there, right? And one other time that happened, I don't think I have a copy of that poem. The stars one, I did take a photo of the poem before I handed it over to that girl. But one other poem that I had a similar thing happen with was, someone asked me at an event, "Can you write a poem about galaxy?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And in my head, I had thought, oh, I'm gonna start the poem with, you walk into the woods and you go out there and look up and there's a galaxy. And so I typed it out, but instead of typing "you walk in the woods," my fingers, my poetry brain typed "you wake." And I almost went back and crossed that out or started over, but then I thought, well, maybe we'll see where that goes. And the poem ended up being about how you were asleep in the woods and you woke up, and the thing that woke you was this galaxy whispering from millions of light years away. I never would have probably ever written that poem if I hadn't embraced that mistake. So I think that's a great concept for poetry writing, and sometimes just for life. My name is Sean Petrie. Thank you very much for watching and listening.